And for Off the Block, I'm Vinny Lopes, and we are now joined by the new head coach of George Mason University, Jay Hosack, formerly at Penn State. Now he's going to have to figure out a way to knock off the Nittany Lions in the upcoming season. And Jay, what is that feeling like right now to know that you are a head coach of a Division I college men's volleyball team?
I am extremely excited and honored to be wearing the green and gold. And, George Mason is one of those programs that has been around for a long time, and there's a lot of history and tradition with them, and I couldn't be happier to go out there and help guide them to the next level if I can.
And, I know just talking to you before, and you've said, when you were an assistant coach, you were looking for a head coaching job. It had to be the right head coaching job for you to leave Penn State. What made George Mason that right head coaching job that made you want to leave Penn State for it?
That's a good question, and I've got it's a pretty multifaceted answer. I've had some opportunities over the years, and you're right, they were not right professionally or personally. But you look at what's going on at George Mason, and there's a few things going on. One is it's in a conference that I feel that we can be pretty successful, and remain successful is actually the better term. Two, there's a new athletic director, Brad Edwards, there, who came in last year, and from all intents and purposes, and the people I've talked to, they're really excited to have him there. He's got great vision and great energy, and he's really excited about the athletics there and trying to get it up to the level that it deserves to be at, funding-wise and national scope. So that's really exciting. I think the other thing is they've got great facilities. The rec center is really beautiful. It's a great place to play volleyball. They've got a good student support there. You look at the academics of the institution. That's a real plus. And I believe George Mason was one of 5 teams last year that won the ABCA Team All-Academic Award, which is really huge. That shows the quality of the student athletes that go there. But I think most importantly for me, because job security is a big plus, you've got somebody behind you that really supports men's volleyball, and that's Ron Shaka, my immediate supervisor and associate AD there. He obviously was a graduate of Penn State back in the day and knows, what it really takes to be successful on a national scale. And with him behind you and with Brad Edwards behind all of us, with the quality of the students, the quality of the education, and the facilities, it's a win-win-win situation all the way around, and I just could not be more excited to be a part of it all.
Well, in talking about some of the student athletes that you are inheriting, I know that this is a team that you're familiar with going up against them last year. What do you think about your new players?
I'll tell you what, I'm pretty excited. Fred Chow did some really good recruiting the last few years and brought in a really great crop of kids. You've got 2 returning back-to-back Freshman of the Year candidates with Radoslav Popov and the setter Brian Negron. Those are 2 really quality players. They've got a great opposite in Paco Velez, and they've got a whole host of characters around them that are really good players. Jack Wilson's an up-and-coming outside hitter who's got some really good skill, and you look at everybody around those 4 guys, and there's just a whole host of guys that are really stepping up into their roles. And I'll tell you what, last year they were a team that I was definitely concerned about, and I was. When I looked at this position, I thought, what's the future going to hold? Is it going to be kind of a bare covered type situation? And the answer is actually quite opposite. It's pretty loaded, so I'm excited about those guys.
Yeah. And Jay, for someone who hasn't seen your coaching style, maybe at practice or in a game, how would you describe, the Jay Hosack coaching style that you're going to bring to matches?
I knew you would ask that question. The reality is this. I'm a pretty easy coach to play for in the sense that I really only expect one thing when it happens when you walk into the gym, and that's that you're going to give it 100% of your effort. I'm definitely not one of those feel-good coaches, and I'm definitely not over-the-top yelling and screaming all the time. I'd like to think that I know the difference between the right time and the wrong time to put my arm around your shoulder or to give you a swift kick in the butt when you need a little push. But the reality is, the kids are the ones that are the program themselves. And if you set the expectations with them as a group and say, look, this is this level and standard that we need to be at in order to be successful and be at the level that we want to be at as a group, well, then we got to do the work. And I think most teams that I've coached over the years, they buy into that pretty quickly because they understand that, hey, if you're a Division I athlete, you really got to buy into this. You can't just kind of go in half-assed and not really work it. So I think I'm a pretty easy coach to play for. At least I would hope so. Yeah, I don't know. Talk to some of my ex-players, see what they say.
Well, and Coach, talking about your team and everything, and making this adjustment to becoming the head coach, what do you think is going to be the biggest transition for you moving from an assistant coach to a head coach?
Remembering to put the right lineup in will be one. Making sure I packed enough underwear. The reality is that it's not a ginormous transition in terms of how do I approach each match or how do I approach each game. I think the reality is just keep everything in check and just remember that the right time to get after is in practice, and then the matches are the time that you let it all shine. And I'm just really excited to be back in Chair 1. It was kind of the place I started my career years and years ago, back up at UC Santa Cruz, and took a little detour there to get to this level, and then it was it's an awesome feeling to be back at it, and I can't wait to get in the gym with these guys, and I can't wait to be on campus.
Yeah, and talking about the program and everything, and recruiting, what is the type of player that you are hoping to bring into George Mason in future years?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's obviously I need good students. I don't think you can be an average student and be successful at George Mason, and that's a good thing. I think the quality of and the caliber of the academics there requires that you kind of be really good with time management and being able to be disciplined. So that's something that already is kind of taken care of in itself. But I really need people that are that are going to be good players in the gym, but are going to be good teammates when you're out of the gym, and then you need to hold each other accountable and make sure that everybody's on the same page when it comes to the social awareness that goes on with these types of programs. And I don't want to pigeonhole myself and say I'm only looking for this type of athlete for this position or that type of athlete for that position. I think it's more or less that I want good volleyball players, and I'll take them at any size or any height. That doesn't bother me. I want people that are good character, and I want people that have high integrity and people that are going to work hard for me. And that's going to be the standard that I work by.
Right. And Jay, I'm sure that you're going to be asked this question 10,000 times before the season starts, but I want to be one of the first ones who asks it. You created an absolute monster, helped create an absolute monster in Penn State that has had such great success. And now what do you have to do as a coach to slay that monster in Penn State for you guys to return to the NCAA championship?
You are right. I will be asked that a lot of times, and here is going to be you are the first, and so congratulations on that. Here's going to be my first answer. Yes, it is true that we will have to get by Penn State in order to get to the Final Four, the Final Six now that it is. There are obviously other teams in the conference that may feel differently about that, but at the moment, for the last 13 years, Penn State is the team to beat. However, we have aspirations, or I at least have aspirations before getting on campus, of becoming a national program that people recognize out of the gate. And in order to do that, we've got to be good nationally. And so we've got a lot of other teams around the country that are ranked ahead of us, and we're going to have to be good when we play them. So, we're going to do our best to just take each match at a time and take things one step at a time. And as the season will progress and the year progresses, we'll have some touchstone moments where we can kind of see our progress, and we'll just take it from there. Yeah, Penn State's the big dog in the EIBA, but we're hoping to soon change that, and every other team that we face, hopefully we do what we need to do to take care of business.
Yeah, and on a more personal note for you, what has your time at Penn State and Mark Pavlet meant for you?
That's a great question. I've been very lucky to have had a few of the best mentors ever in volleyball to work for. And I'll start with Tom Pestalacy at Irvine Valley College. He gave me the ability to understand that I can love what I do and have fun while I do it, not take life too seriously, and at the same time really do some great accomplishments. That was first and foremost. Secondly, I worked with Hugh McCutcheon for the national team, both the men's and the women's, and what I learned from Hugh was how to create practices and how to run drills and how to look at a season's work and be able to break it down into different components and figure out what's going to be the best way to attack it and get the best results that we can. So that was that. And then Mark Pavlik. What I learned from Pav, how to run a program from top to bottom. He is absolutely one of the best in the country at creating the best program overall. When it deals with boosters, when it deals with administration, when it deals with setting up of the season, and Pat was outstanding in that. And I love every single one of those guys for giving me something different to pull from them. So yeah, I loved my time at Penn State. I will always have a special place in my heart for this place, and I will always root for them when we're not playing against them. They're just outstanding people. The kids that I worked with over the years are just great young men, and I'm excited about what they're doing in the future. And I will always have a special place in my heart for this place. But the reality is that, you know, the chapter ends and a new chapter begins, and that's where we are now, and my wife and I could not be more happy.
Well, and I'm sure that you'll try to offer Pav your assistant coaching position to see if he can come down, but I'm sure he'll decline. So, in all seriousness, though, who do you think are, you know, you probably don't know any names right now, but what's some of the qualities that you're hoping to bring in an assistant coach to help you out?
Well, you know, first and foremost, I wouldn't mind somebody that's already affiliated with the program or maybe have played for the program. I think it's important that if you have kids that played at the program that want to be involved, that you need to get them involved in some form or fashion. I think they know the ins and outs of how things work. They can give you a kind of a roadmap of what worked before and what didn't work. I mean, obviously, I'm coming into this pretty blind. I don't really even necessarily know what their recruiting trips look like. So having somebody who's gone through the process would definitely be a plus. I think I need somebody with some experience at a high level. I as much as I know where I came from, there's just some things that when you play or coach at a higher level, you kind of bring to the table, and there's some legitimacy and there's some discussion and talking points that really make it a little easier during those coaching meetings where you're kind of figure things out. But I think, really, to be honest with you, I want somebody who's loyal, and I want somebody who's willing to work hard, because right now, there's really not a lot in the cupboard in terms of the staff. We don't have a couple of full-time assistants like some of the bigger programs in the country right now. Hopefully that changes in the future, but for now, we don't have that. And so I've got to find somebody who's willing to work hard for not a lot of pay, and that's tough to find. And so, you know, at the moment, it's finding somebody who wants to be a part of it all and shows loyalty and a willingness to work hard. And I think we can do some good things.
And Jay, final question. I'm sure that this is one that the volleyball community is very concerned about right now. Have you become too big for the Net Live? Will you still be able to contribute weekly, or are you having to step down that position?
That's a great question. You know, the honest reaction is I will always be a part of that show if they will have me. Barney and Jeremy have done such a great job over the years of building that program up, and I remember being a part of it in the very beginning, just briefly calling in here and there, and then they asked me to be a contributor, and then they asked me to give the College Volleyball Weekly, and luckily I'm at a school and in a place where I still get to continue to do that. So I'm super jazzed that I get to be a part of that weekly program and still get to go in studio and hang out and do all the stuff that we've done over the years and continue to get better. So yeah, I'll still be a part of the Net Live and can't wait to continue that.